see if I can try to make the rant short during a commercial here. The real reason, all right, look, there wouldn't be like genuine homeless people in this country or many places around the world if the system would mainly just leave them the fuck alone. I mean, or there would be very few. I mean, okay, look even in like places in Africa and other foreign countries where there's extreme poverty. But those people build decent shelters for themselves, and even the slums of Jamaica, they've got shanty towns, and people have decent shelters, and those people don't have near the kind of resources available to everyone in the United States. But they do, what they do have is a home, is a sort of a home of some sort. I mean, if you get a camper van or you have a truck with a camper or something, and you try to live in that, you got someone coming along to bang on your fucking window and wake your ass up and mess with you all the frickin' time. If you were to go out in some, you know, patch of trees or something in the woods or something and build a shelter, like a decent shelter, actually make like a cabin or something, then you're going to get fucked over and have everything stolen from you, get chased away, have the cops come in with their jackboots and stomp on your head, basically. It's the way it is, like, everywhere. I've been living out of a motel mostly for like a year, and the few months I was in a so-called apartment, just some basement bedroom, it was right by a bunch of, homeless encampments and stuff at a park nearby. And I've talked to a lot of people, and every motel I've been in, there's lots of people at these motels that have, older people who have, good sized social security checks. They work their whole lives. They got fancy trucks and sports cars and all this shit, but they can't get into an apartment. They can't get approved to get into an apartment. They can't get into anything. Most of the maids I've talked to that clean these fucking motel rooms either live in the motel room or they live in their car. The people that manage the motels that I've been to live at the motel. It's just a maid comes in here and cleans. And then when she gets off work, she lives in a fucking truck. I see people like that everywhere. Everywhere I go, every parking lot I go to, there's all kinds of cars, vans, campers. Of course, the RVs and campers end up getting towed away and just disappear off into the memory hole. Maybe the people disappear too, because that's what the government does. Pretend to be looking out for people. You wonder why there's all these, you can't hard they kind of cut back on what they do with the homeless man, but a lot of the people disappear, I think. The truth of the matter. And yeah, sure, there's people that are too stupid or too high to make proper shelter or whatever. I get that, but a lot of people just can't afford or can't even get approved to get into a place because they're not making a $60,000 salary. You know, that's about what you need to get approved anywhere, basically. People on disability, SSI or whatever the fuck, a lot of those people don't make enough money off their Social Security to be able to even get approved for an apartment. That's the truth, man. There's lots of good people that fucking, many of them work their whole lives, but they can't afford a home. They can't get into an apartment, you know, because they wouldn't be approved. whether they have some little minor shit on their record or rental history that pissed somebody off years ago or something at a some neighbor didn't like them, or because they just don't make, 3 times the rent on a monthly basis because the rent is so fucking high. It's 1,500 to 2,000, $3,000 a month in some places, to rent a fucking apartment. It's ridiculous. And they want you to be making 3 times that to be approved for a place. So it's a lot of fucking money. You got to be basically a millionaire or a paper millionaire to get anywhere. Anyways, yeah, that's why. But dude, I mean, there's lots and lots of fucking old camp trailers and lots of camper vans. And, I mean, for that matter, there's more empty houses that are just abandoned than there are homeless people. But even forgetting about that, if you just let people fucking live in their bus, let people live in their van, let people live in their fucking RV or their camp trailer without being fucking harassed and abused and moved, pushed around all over the place, then people could be living pretty much fine for the most part. Sure, there'd be poor people. They wouldn't be fucking homeless. They wouldn't be sleeping in a tent under a fucking bridge or crashing under a tarp somewhere on the sidewalk. They'd be in RVs or in a fucking big vans, or they'd have built, they'd be living in a shed somewhere in the woods or that they bought, or they'd be living, in some shanty hut that they'd built, like freaking but it'd be better than what the fuck they have over in these third world countries. People could still be living a lot better than a lot of people than the majority of people in these third world countries are living here in the United States. If you just fucking leave them the hell alone and stop stealing their fucking campers and stealing their vans and robbing them blind and beating them down and pushing them around, you know, they want you to make you pay out the ass to camp somewhere, to park your van, park your car somewhere and sleep in your car. You can't even sleep in your fucking car or your van without somebody coming along and chasing you off. Everywhere you go, you get chased away. How the hell are you supposed to live like that, And you got all these fucking government agencies, sending cops out to fucking harass people, basically. Looking for ways they can screw people over. Or, for the most part, I mean, sure, I can't say that that some people don't get a little help, but it's a disguise. It's a fucking harassment in the form of a, that's disguised as help, basically, in a lot of cases. It's harassment and theft and abuse disguised as help, you know, in many cases. I mean, how many places are there with big empty fields all over the fucking place, and empty fucking, parks parks where they have some event every now and then or whatever, two or three, probably in every town, some park where they hold a carnival or some event or something, and they do it, you know, use the place like three, four, five, 6 times a year maybe, but the whole rest of the time they just got a big fence and a gate locked around it. There's no trespassing sign. I mean, there's all kinds of places where there's campgrounds and shit where they just lock the fucking gates and they don't let anybody go in there, and parks and things like that. There's all kinds of places where people could stay safely, and pretty much safely in their vehicles and campers and RVs and camper vans and so on and so forth. There's tons and tons of land unoccupied. People could build cabins. People could set up, people, even people with no with hardly any skills can figure out how to get some 2x4s or some 4x4 posts and nail some 2x4s to them and get some fucking chunks of plywood and make a roof, makeshift roof, or some, aluminum siding, some sort of something. There's lots of ways people could make shelters that would be totally passable and keep them out of the fucking rain and cold. And there's more material here than there is in these third world countries where people could build way better shelters, better looking stuff, more functional. They're just not allowed to do so. You gotta have these like social workers and cops around to fucking harass people all the time, push them around, make them move, or find a way to take their trailer and take all their stuff and haul it to the dump, basically, because you don't give them anywhere to fucking park or anywhere to stay. It's just we live in a country that's heartless, and it's not just this country. It seems to be the whole fucking Western world, man. Maybe the whole world everywhere. In a lot of ways, I'm not saying there's not people that care, but there's way more people and with way more money that are more interested in abusing and hurting these fucking poor people and pushing people around. And I mean, there's all kinds of ways. There used to be freedom in this country, right? A lot more freedom. If this country had been the way it is now 50 years ago, 100 years ago, we wouldn't have KFC, we wouldn't have McDonald's, we wouldn't have Burger King, we wouldn't have Carl's Jr., we wouldn't have, all those restaurants never would have existed because they would have been shut down day one. They all started out small, you know, put together a hot dog cart, they slapped together some boards and they made some little fucking restaurant or something. If they had had all the restrictions and regulations and fucking harassment that people get now, they never would have got anything done. If you had to have all the vendors like, the way business used to be in this fucking country, man. You used to have, newsboys, newspaper stands. People would sell magazines and newspapers and newspaper stands, and you just had to have the newspapers. And I mean, it's there's all sorts of different types of business. Like if you go to a carnival, you can see the way you go to a carnival and you see all these booths that people have set up, right? You see the food trucks, and you see the people selling T-shirts and bumper stickers, and the people selling jewelry, and you know so on and so forth. Right? Well, that's something, and sometimes, occasionally, for a little while, you'll see these people from like, you know, Mexico or something will come over here and you'll see them standing on the side of the road with a table with a bunch of tomatoes for sale, or they'll have, bags of oranges or something, or they'll have, strawberries or whatever, flowers, you know, stuff like, if everyone could just fucking do that, then people would be able to make a sort of a living. But it's all about got to get that money, got to get that money, got to get the permits, got to get the licensing, got to get the zoning, got to get the approval of the fucking city person or this person or that person. Got to have permission to be here, to be there, to stand there, to do this, to do that. Got to get that tax money. Got to get this money. Got to get that money. You fucking rob people blind. They make it impossible for poor people to move up in the world because you're getting fucked over the whole time and you got nowhere to sleep. You know, can't get anywhere. You can't make any fucking forward momentum because every step you take forward, they knock you back three. You know, it's fucking highway robbery. What's being done to people? That's why there's so many fucking homeless people. Cost of living is outrageous. People ought to be fucking rioting in the streets everywhere or something over this shit. But the people who have it good don't even notice, don't even care. Don't care that if they go to, or if they do care, they care that how dare these poor people take up parking spaces in my Walmart or whatever. I kind of go have a fancy vacation because all the motels are filled with homeless people. Well, fuck them. I'm trying to see Disneyland or whatever, right? Well, fuck you. You know? What the hell? Messed up, man. Dang it. Just wish things could change, Change for the better. You got all these people living in these big fancy fucking houses, and another class that lives in giant castles and giant mansions with thousands of acres of land or millions of acres of land around them. And you got the rest of the people can't even afford a fucking apartment. Can't even be left alone if they fucking put a tent somewhere. Can't do anything without being harassed and fucked with. Dang it.